Kitsap Sun Editorial Board. This is the candidates for Port of Bremerton District 3 Commissioner. And so, Sean, if you want to begin, we'll give you 3 minutes.
Absolutely. Well, again, thank you for the opportunity to be here and share with you today. My name is Sean Kuchardi, and I'll start with a little bit of a background. I'm born in Billings, Montana. Went to college out in North Carolina, where I obtained a degree in business administration with an emphasis in finance. Out of college, went to work for the PGA of America. Spent about 10 years with the PGA of America, with always aspirations of really to kind of create my own business and business plan. And back in 2003, I brought that to fruition as we purchased McCormick Woods Golf Course and the clubhouse restaurant there at McCormick Woods. I can consider myself to be an extreme community activist. I really enjoy being engaged in the community that I reside in, and I think you'll see that with some of the things that I've done with my activity with the Kitsap Peninsula Visitor and Convention Bureau. Went up through the board chairs there and was president of that organization. Have been doing the same thing for the last number of years with the Bremerton Area Chamber of Commerce. I'm actually the current president of that organization. A term expires here in just a couple of days. I'm the president of a nonprofit organization in South Kitsap called the South Kitsap School Supporters, and that's an organization that just kind of brings the community together to support our public schools. Probably most visible in times of bonds and levies, as there's some restrictions on what they can and can't do being a part of a school district. So I'm president of that organization. Very active in my church, and just really enjoy giving back to the community that I'm in, and that's really one of the biggest reasons that I'm so engaged with this particular race for the commissioner seat that's available at the Port of Bremerton. Not only does it give me an opportunity to continue to give back to my community, but it happens to really fall in line with where my passions are. And if you look at the mission of the Port of Bremerton, it really is about economic development and job creation. And that's what my passion's for, and that's what I really enjoy, working on. I understand those sometimes complex business transactions and what goes behind, really, attracting jobs, retaining jobs, and working to that end. And that's something that I'm really excited about. I think, especially in these times that we're in, since 2008, it's even more important that we as a community spend the proper time and the proper planning with the tremendous assets that we have at the Port of Bremerton, from the aviation ends to the marine ends to the industrial park, that we do have an opportunity to keep current tenants there, to grow existing tenants, and to keep economic development and jobs alive in our local community. And I'm looking forward to assisting with that. I think I have some innovation that I'll be able to bring to the table with that, to sit down and really encourage them to look at the assets that we have and where we fall within our competitive set. I don't think that's been defined, at least since I've lived here in the Bremerton area. How do we compete, with our closest competitors in the other port districts through our area, or even private lands where some of these manufacturing business or other like businesses may have an opportunity to relocate. So to sit there and create a plan and to help them execute that plan, and that's certainly where I'll start. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen, for the opportunity to come and visit today and share my interests and so forth. I'm very proud to be running for the position for Commissioner for the Port of Bremerton. My name is Axel Strecklejohn, and I'm a 30-year resident here in Kitsap County. I moved here shortly after getting my business administration degree and worked for several companies here, operated several home improvement centers here, in fact the only ones that were here at the time. And currently I operate the largest retail facility in South Kitsap, which is the Fred Meyer store, where we employ 260 people. Over those years, I've been very involved in many different areas in the community. I'm involved with all 3 chambers. I also involved with Boys and Girls Club and have supported many other organizations here locally. Have also operated as a director and president of other 501c3 corporations as well. I speak 2 languages. I've traveled to over 10 foreign countries. Have had many life experiences and learned quite a bit over the years. In 2009, I was awarded the Red Cross Heroes Award for saving a man's life here locally. I'm very proud of that and happy once again to return to the community. My platform, as you may know, is people, not politics. I'm not a politician, I'm a businessman that wants to return back to the community. I understand the difficult economic times that we're currently in. I see it every day, people trying to make ends meet, cutting coupons in hopes to have enough money to pay the bills at the end of the month. We need to have responsible budgeting, and we need to have increased efficiencies at the port. And with that, That's what my mission statement is of that. And of course, I plan first of all to ensure that our tax dollars are spent responsibly while providing a return to the community. I believe in fiscal responsibility, I believe in accountability, and I believe in transparency to the taxpayer. And I believe that we have great opportunities there. In the case of the port, it means operating as a business while employing strong leadership skills and while making difficult but responsible decisions to benefit the community. We need a commissioner in that position that the community can trust to make ethical judgments and are in support of the taxpayer. Port-initiated taxes are not the answer to resolving budgets. We need to control expenses, increase efficiencies, and we need to grow our businesses. We can't afford to let another midnight tax happen. Our community can't afford it. The port has a responsibility to grow and attract new businesses. We need to create desperately needed jobs, and we need to offer opportunities within our community. Our communities and our people need to be working. I plan to use my business experience, to make sure the port's investments are realistic and address current needs, focus marketing strategies, and work with other commissioners to establish short and long-term planning in which to attract new business and give needed direction to the port. I believe it's the port's responsibility to also grow the facilities that we currently have, being the marina and the airports as well. And the opportunity, yes.
Sure. Well, what I'll do is I'll have the first question kind of continue on to that. One of the issues that's been going on lately is the retention of safe boats, keeping them happy in their location, and the port is talking about an expanded facility for them. There would probably be some bonding involved in that, and I was curious your opinion on whether that's a good investment of the port's bonding capacity right now and what actually.
I feel that any investment that we can do to support safe boats is very viable, and we need to explore that, yes. And to the bonding question, if that's what it takes to assist with the expansion out there, we need to pursue that.
Is that a good use if that brings the port up to its bonding capacity that would kind of limit what it can do in the future? Do you still think that's a worthwhile one now?
The bonding capacity is there to be used for the port to grow and assist businesses. And right now the bonding capacity is at $14 million. And that's based on a recent assessment by the tax assessor based on $9.2 billion in assets. That's how you get the $14 million. So yeah, that bonding issue, we need to use that. That's what it's used for. It's there to develop growth and assist businesses to come to the port.
Yeah, any effort that we make to keep safe boats here is absolutely prudent. I mean, that's an amazing company that I think we can share that story. That company started here and has flourished here, and now really has a stance on the worldwide stage. They have nearly 300 employees, and with some of the contracts that are out right now, that workforce could grow significantly. What's unknown right now, and this is where we need to kind of slow down a little bit, is exactly what the needs of that tenant or the customer of the port is going to be. It may be significant expansion, it may not be. That is not yet to be determined. And so till we really understand the scope of what our customer is asking of us, the commission and ultimately the owners of the commission, the taxpayers, I think it's a little premature to be talking funding strategies. The bonding strategy is absolutely one of the strategies that we could take a look at. There are other strategies that we could take a look at, and there are other examples of private-public partnerships when it comes to creating leases. I mean, if a company is willing to sign an extended year lease, there are development companies out there that are in that business to create these, the infrastructure and to basically lease it back. So I think what our job as a commissioner is to first fully understand what the needs of safe boats will be, and then second, to look at how we can best create a win-win to keep that company flourishing here and to protect, our taxpayers, the owners that ultimately are, supporting the properties out there.
What about the other one that we've been reporting on is the 737, talks with Boeing and being involved in kind of this regional partnership. Are you comfortable with the role the port's playing right now? Do you think this is a good use of some of the port's money? And we'll start with Sean.
I really do. I mean, I think that's the one thing that's been lacking, has been a strategy at the Port of Bremerton to help create regional awareness for our assets. I just think you start talking to people outside of our local community, and they're not aware of the assets we have with our marinas. They're not aware of the wonderful aviation facilities. They're not really aware of the industrial park. And so the way we go out there and do it is to start, creating that regional awareness. And that means getting a seat at those tables. And so for us to be talking talking with Boeing. Perhaps it doesn't lead to a Boeing 737 manufacturing plant, but perhaps there's a vendor of Boeing or a supplier of Boeing that better understands where we are geographically to Boeing and how some of the logistics that we have access to with rail, with highways, with our aviation facilities that may be very beneficial from a cost perspective to move their locations to our area, and how you begin with regional awareness is having a seat at that table. And I would certainly support us continue to have a seat at the table with the Boeing company and other companies like the Boeing company.
One of the things that, I'm going to have you answer the same question in just a moment. I'm going to one follow-up. With Kerry Bozeman down there the last 2 years, he's kind of made an effort to doing that, maybe creating kind of a buzz around the culture and awareness around Kitsap County. Do you think that's been successful, or do you think, you're mentioning now that they need to focus on regional awareness and a strategy. Do you think that's failed? Has it not? I'll just leave it there.
Well, I think it's too early to judge whether it's failed or not. One thing that I think we can see and get a pulse of is for the first time, again, since I've been around here, is there even kind of a buzz with this talks and these negotiations and us having a seat at the table with someone like the Boeing company. And so, we don't really know how the story is going to end, but unless we put a plan together for the marketing of our facilities, and us meeting with the Boeing company certainly should be part of a marketing plan as it relates to the aviation facilities. That's how you start developing the awareness and the relationships necessary to bring business to fruition. And I would absolutely encourage us to continue with those means.
Axel asked the same question about the money that's being invested and the time that's being spent in this kind of regional plan to talk to Boeing.
To answer the question on Boeing, I think it's a very viable pursuit. The port itself has committed $10,000 toward that marketing plan. The Kitsap community, greater Kitsap community, has a total investment right now collected of funds of around $45,000 from other businesses and so forth, in which to market and advertise and work with the Boeing company. Now, Boeing is one of 159 different avionic companies in our state alone. So for us to pursue that, I think that that's a very viable topic. I think we need to pursue that. And in addition to that, we need to pursue other possible businesses that could come along with Boeing. We have a lot of manufacturing that do small parts for the company and other aircraft manufacturers out there that provide small parts as some contractors. There are also assets that should be looked at and businesses that would fill the need out there.
How well do you think the port has done of marketing this area?
With Boeing?
No. Just in terms of, kind of Sean's talking about the strategy and saying there's a regional awareness, making other companies aware that Kitsap would be a good place to come. How well do you think the port's done at that? How much energy should go into improving that?
Well, I don't want to criticize the port and what they haven't done in the past, but what I can say is that I think that we need to look at the future. And having been in some marketing myself over the last 30 years or so, I think that there's great opportunity for marketing. I think we need to target the marketing, and we need to identify the resources that would be a fit to our community and to the Port District.
Explain what you mean by target the marketing.
Well, we have three individual targeted businesses in the port. If you dissect the port itself, we have the Marina, we have the airport, and we have the industrial park. Those are all different businesses if you dissect them. What you would target marketing for the industrial park obviously wouldn't fit for the Marina. Okay, and in the case of the marinas, we want to increase utilization, which benefits marina income, benefits community income, and events to the cities, brings tourists, tourism, and so forth. With the industrial part of this side of the business, there's a lot of ground out there that can be developed, and there's a lot of room for businesses to come and expand. We need to go out and seek those businesses directly, and whether we attend trade shows or whether we attend industrial conventions, we need to go out and show people what's available and what a great workforce that we have here, and what great property and surroundings we have and what is available. We need to make that appealing to those, and I think we can be much more assertive in that pursuit.
Is this the type of position the port needs to hire? Do we need to bring someone in who can do that, who can be at those trade shows, who can be a face for the port? Is it the director's role? Is it the commissioners? Should you guys be the ones who are out doing that?
Well, we absolutely need to have staff allocation towards this type of marketing. I think, as we look at growing all of these facilities, it's going to take someone on a day-to-day basis managing that plan. I think commissioners can help with that. I think that's exactly the type of role that we can assist with. We're there to create policy and help govern, but we can also, have seats at different tables as we're networking with some of these other, regional organizations that are dealing with economic development, for us to be able to represent our port and our constituents, to assist in that role, absolutely. But there's no doubt that it will take somebody, whether it's your CEO or a senior, marketing staffer, to be able to be out there on a full-time basis and market our port. That's exactly what it's going to take to be successful.
But I hear you saying it should come from in-house. This is the type of thing that you feel that.
I think there's certain elements that need to come in-house, absolutely. I mean, no one's going to know our business and our mission and our goals and what we have to offer like we do, and I think it's important that we have those customer touches, not someone else that may not, always and 100% of the time share in our mission. As soon as you start subcontracting out, that subcontractor may have differing agendas at times. So I think to have someone on our staff that is there treating our customers the way our plan calls for them to be treated, I think is very important. And for us to be able to invite them in and for us to create those relationships is very important.
Well, to answer your question, I don't believe that the commissioner should be driving the physical attributes of performing the execution of that. The commissioners need to give direction to the employees of the port. We have a great management staff out there. We've got some great people out there, but I believe the commissioners need to give some direction to the port and also have expectations and accountability of what the desired goals are. And as far as marketing goes, I think the marketing should be done by the port district. It should be done by the port employees. That's what they're there for. That's what the community and the taxpayer pays them for, and that's what they need to execute. They need to execute that plan.
Does anyone else have a question on this topic? I'm going to change gears a little bit. There is a piece of property in downtown Bremerton that's being used as parking lot right now at the port purchase. What's your opinion on the kind of the future use of that property? There's been talks of retail development, of parking lot, helping the marina. What would you like to see happen there? We'll start with that.
Well, I think that parking lot is very, very important to the utilization of the marina. If you follow the growth of the marina, the building of the marina, we built this fabulous facility with no parking. And so if you're a live-aboard boat owner, or you come down for a weekend to visit somebody like I've done in the past, you've only got a limited amount of parking. So the port needed to purchase a piece of property adjacent to that in which to establish the easement and egress into the marina so people can utilize that. So that property is valuable to the port in the respect of support for the marina itself. To turn that into a retail or something otherwise, I don't know that it would be direct in support of the marina. Now, that land could be developed with retail facility and parking as well. But again, that would take some construction, and obviously would be somewhat, perhaps a multi-level sort of a building.
Is it appropriate for the port to be doing that, or should you look for an outside person to sell the property to and see if that could happen?
Well, the port has purchased that property, and it belongs to the port right now. The port needs to ensure that there's a return on investment on that property, and part of that property right now is being rented through a subcontractor for parking. Parking is being charged, and the cash proceeds are returning back to the port. So it is generating some income at this time.
I guess that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, it needs to generate income.
As long as it's doing that, you're content with
That is
the
correct.
ownership.
It needs to pencil, and we need to provide a return to the taxpayer for their investment.
I totally agree that all of our assets need to provide a return back to the taxpayer. And you look at that parking lot, and it's incredibly important to the success for that marina that we need not only parking for these people, but amenities for these people. And the downtown Bremerton is revitalizing, and there are becoming more amenities down there. And as that happens, that will encourage more tourists via their boats to come to this area. We should play a lead role with helping to execute that plan. I'm not necessarily in favor of the Port of Bremerton and our taxpayers building and operating retail facilities, but I think we can help create a vision by listening and reaching out to our boaters throughout this region and understanding what the needs and services that they desire. And then for us to help put a plan together and help create maybe business opportunities, via leasing those properties to help create win-wins. I don't want to see us in the business of running retail, but at the same time, I think that we have an opportunity here to help create opportunity that at the back end that that our marina and our assets that we do own become more profitable, and there's a greater return back to our people. And that's where I think we can take a lead role and help developing those concepts, help doing the research to figure out what the best suited businesses are, surrounding businesses, to help our Bremerton Marina be just as successful as possible.
How hopeful are you guys that the Bremerton Marina will fill up in the near future? You know, the lease rates are still fairly low as far as the investment on that. How hopeful are you that it will fill up? What other attention needs to be paid?
So, I am hopeful. I'm not saying it's going to happen in the next 12 or 24 months. I mean, nobody knew to the extent of this recession that we're in, how long this was going to last. And unfortunately, with boating, it's a leisure time and quite expensive, activity. And so these are some of the things that people are forced to cut. We did not know that when we laid plans to build the Bremerton Marina that we face this right now. I think unequivocally in 10, 20 years from now, we're going to look back and we're going to see the Bremerton Marina and some of the redevelopment of downtown Bremerton and what it was and what it's turning into be, with not only public investment but private investment, some of the other local business around here. And we're going to say, wow, we were a part of something special. And I think it will take time. At the same time, I think we need to understand, again, who our competitors are, what other marinas are flourishing and why. I think we need to pay attention to price point. There is simple, economics of supply and demand, and I think we need to make sure that even in these times that we're maximizing return with some of the challenges that we're currently facing.
Well, the marina itself needs to be looked at very closely, and we need to make it not a hopeful, but we need to make it a focus to fill occupancy to the point where it pencils out. The budget for the marina is 70% occupancy, and it will pencil. And right now we're at 40-some%, and now it's dropping again because it's going back to off-season. And in off-season we're at about 36 to 38% occupancy. So we need to at least achieve that 70%, and we need to be aggressive about it. We need to not be hopeful about it. We need to the very best we can to make it pencil. And again, that would require targeted marketing, working with the two cities, Port Orchard and Bremerton, to create events and nonprofit organizations in which to bring people to our community, give them the reason to come here to the marina and to use the facility, as well as take in all the aspects and sites of the two cities.
I'll ask a question about your district now. There's been a number of things that you're working on, the port is working on with the city of Port Orchard as far as on the waterfront there. There's some property that the port owns that kind of is contiguous with the city owns downtown. What do you think the port's role should be in providing some of the services in downtown Port Orchard, as far as the boat launch or the waterfront park or the pathway? How do you see yourself working with that city to, keep those things maintained?
The Port of Bremerton needs to maintain a good working relationship with all of the cities, whether it be Port Orchard or Marina, or Port Orchard or Bremerton, excuse me. On the side of the Port Orchard Marina, this park you're talking about, there's two houses that were purchased by the port and have now been earmarked for expansion of the Marina Park. And that is a direct return to the community. And I think that park is very, very important to the community of Port Orchard, to the city of Port Orchard, as well as to the tourists that come to our cities and use that facility. So I believe that we need to have a strong working relationship. That is an asset to not only the port, but it's an asset to the community, and it's a return to the community. And I believe that we need to continue with a very positive relationship between them.
I think when we look at long-term planning for the assets of the Port of Bremerton, I think we need to make sure that we're staying away from some of the things that's happened in the past, is running the Port of Bremerton as a social equity fund. And I think we need to get back to doing business with our assets and prioritize the order of which those things occur. First and foremost, my goal with the Port of Bremerton is economic development and jobs. And if we are being stewards of this enterprise fund, we will create the cash flow needed to then move to a second-tier category of things like community parks and piers and things of those nature. And I think right now, the Port of Bremerton is not flush with cash. And I think we need to be very, very careful and be very responsible back to our taxpayers in the order of which we look at development. And so I think we first need to look at and complete the task of economic development and job creation to create the income from our assets necessary to make improvements to things like recreation. Not to say there isn't a give back to the community. When these tourists do come to town, they do spend dollars. We need to be mindful of that, and we need to understand what that give back is. But first and foremost, in these times right now, I think we need to stay focused on prioritizing the works of our port. We have limited resources, be it cash, be it staff time, and I would like to see the port stay focused on prioritizing where we will be successful in the short term of creating economic development and jobs in our community. And so I think I would help prioritize it in that fashion.
Well, just to clarify, what do you mean about returning back to social equity fund?
Well, I think if you look at some of the things that's been happening at the Port of Bremerton, it's been about taxes, it's been about bonding. And I don't know that we've been mindful enough of running this organization as if we were private business, as if we did have properties that needed to generate tenants and to create lease income to help really create a return on investment back to our people. And I think there's been too much of taxation and bonding and not enough from creating revenue streams from the normal course of business operation. And ports are very unique in the funding strategies that they do have available, and I think that can absolutely be a tremendous asset to us as we go out there and compete for these companies and for these jobs. But we need to be mindful of the opportunity for us to create income and to create cash from the general operations of our facilities. And just by going and getting a grant, to maybe build a road that someday we hope to expand down, again, I think it's out of priority. And I think we should wait and have the facts necessary before we go and spend those types of dollars to make sure there's going to be an immediate return on an investment versus just building these facilities, whether we build an empty warehouse building or we build a road that's currently has nothing around it. I think it's out of order, and I think there could be some planning that I will help encourage to make sure that we do one before we do the other.
Could you speak just to that one issue, just out of fairness? Kind of an add-on to his.
Well, I wasn't quite sure what the social pool there that Sean was referring to. The port has established assets, and there are different processes or different progresses of each one of these assets. Each one of these is some stage of motion at all times, whether it's Marina, the road that we're talking about, or the Marina Park. And not having been on the board in the last 6 to 12 years, I've had no influence on the board. I can only talk about what we can do in the future, and we do need to prioritize our direction out there. We do need to create jobs. We need to have economic development at the port and bring businesses there. But at the same time, we cannot turn our back on future vision and future growth and some of the other projects that are already in motion. We need to address those as well.
You said you'd be a little reluctant to bond for projects that are speculative, maybe? Is that what you were kind of getting at when you're saying roads or some improvements that you don't know if there's someone committed to them? Yet at the same time, we're saying we need to find jobs, we need to attract these companies. What is it that you're looking for? What kind of assurance are you looking for before you would support things like bonding for more roads, buildings, other infrastructure improvements?
Well, the first thing I think I was talking about was the park. So let's just get that.
Yeah,
let's differentiate that from the industrial park expansion. We still have occupancy available at the industrial park, and so there needs to be a target to go out and get that filled. We also, as part of our plan, that to know the occupancy rate necessary for us to start looking at future development. But just to go and perhaps build a pad-ready site, when we don't have any leads out there, or to build a building because the infrastructure and the tenant improvement needs for any tenant that we have are going to differ, is I think, to be engaged in those conversations today to understand what that customer may want and build them in concert when we actually have customers that we're negotiating with versus just building in hopes that they will come. I just think we need to be cautious of that with the financial position that the port's currently in.
I'm going to ask Axel a question started with Sean, actually, and you said you'd like to complete the task of job creation, and you're using the word success. And I was curious what the word success would look like to you in the next 4 years.
Well, the word success to me is not raising taxes on our taxpayers.
So if everything just stays like it is right now, that's fine?
Not at all. We obviously need to grow the port, and we need to operate it as a business, as I said in my opening statement. It should not be used as a political platform. It should be used as what it's meant to be, which is to develop jobs and to provide a return to our community. And that community is the taxpayers. They're the ones that deserve it. And in doing so, that by creating more jobs, and we can use the big broad term economic development, which there's a lot of smaller pieces to that, we can say that will provide an additional tax base to it without putting more burden on our taxpayers. So success to me would be obviously increasing facility use, would be reducing the burden on the taxpayer, growing jobs, and providing a return to the entire community.
Let's just focus on the jobs part of it alone. You both agree we want to be, the port needs to be engaged in creating jobs here. What does success in creating jobs mean to you?
Bringing new business to the Port of Bremerton and to our community.
New business that is taken from another area here, new business that is focused on something the port already does very well?
Well, let me go back to one of my previous statements. We have 3 great businesses out there, the Marina, the Industrial Park, Airport. We need to identify markets in each one of those areas. And in this case, let's talk about the Industrial Park. We need to go out and we need to target businesses nationwide, not within our community. The growth's going to come from outside our community. We are very finite here in the peninsula. We have a finite amount of people that live here. We have a finite amount of businesses. We need to go out and look for new business opportunities and bring them to our facilities. We need to hold business forums. We need to show them our availabilities, show them the great people we have, our great working people that we have. They're able to fill those needs of those employers. And that's what we need to do. We need to promote our facilities and go out and do targeted marketing. But it needs to be outside our region. That's where the growth is going to need to come from.
I think the wonderful thing about the assets that we're talking about as far as it relates back to success is it's all measurable. And I think that's the one thing that 2 years from now, 4 years from now, or even perhaps 6 years from now, that I have the opportunity to sit down in front of this very group and in front of the rest of the constituents and show some of those success stories because they were and are measurable. And I think as far as, jobs, if we currently have about 900 jobs out there at the Port of Bremerton, there's no reason that we can't get on an annual trend growth of 5 to 10% a year. I think that's an obtainable number. We know exactly what the occupancy rates are seasonally at both marinas. That's something that we can measure, and through a marketing plan and the execution of that plan, we can show measured results in the growth of the occupancy, which is then income back to the Port of Bremerton. This is about return on an investment, and I think each of those components are very measurable, and I think that's how you show success, is you increase occupancy and the business that's going on with each of those independent assets, airport included. And so as we look at those 3 very unique opportunities that we have operational and marketing plans for each of those entities, and we can show measured results and measured progress as we fulfill and execute those plans.
Kerry Bosen's going to resign at the end of this year, and Tim Thompson, someone who's been at the port for a long time, will take over. Now, I don't have any knowledge of what Tim's strategy is or what his worldview is like, but I would imagine it may change for what Kerry's is like. How do you think your personality changes the board makeup as well? What will you bring that's unique to this Port of Bremerton board if you're a commissioner?
Well, I tell you, I think what I'm going to be able to bring to the table is innovation and vision. And Tim Thompson has been with the Port of Bremerton for a long time, and the amount of expertise and experience that he will bring to these planning sessions, will bring to these commissioners, is going to be invaluable. But it's for the commissioners to help guide that through leadership as we start embarking upon new planning, and the plans that we want to create with senior staff and our commission that we lay forward and we task our senior staff to go and accomplish is how we're going to do that. And so I think to take that positive approach, to be able to bring the experience and expertise that I have with business marketing and business planning and finance and accounting and marketing, public relations, to be able to add some of that to that discussion, I think will be very valuable. And that's really what I'm most excited about, is to provide that experience back to the commission, back to senior staff, to create that plan and to make not just the Port of Bremerton and its assets successful, but staff there successful. I mean, it's fun being part of a winning team, but you have to appropriately plan to make sure that you've got that winning team and that you're putting people in the position to succeed. And I really am encouraged to be a part of that particular process.
Well, back to the original question on Tim Thompson. Tim Thompson's been out the port for over 22 years, and I can actually say pleasantly great to have him out there. It brings a tremendous amount of experience to the table, and with Kerry Bozen retiring in December, I think Tim will provide some good leadership. Myself, as far as fitting with the other commissioners in the port, we have Commissioner Stokes, who's a very conservative, fiscally conservative individual. Roger Zabinski is very analytical, does a tremendous job in analyzing things. And myself, with my 30 years of business experience, my vast knowledge of our county and the intimate knowledge of what has gone on here in the last 30 years. I currently operate a budget that is 4 times the size of the port's fiscally. And I believe that with my vision and my experience and my business leadership, I would fit quite well between the two.
Give me an example from each year. You both kind of had long business careers. Give an example of something you've done that kind of translates over to be a good asset for this job.
Well, I tell you, there's been a lot of things I've done in the community over 30 years to develop this community and help people in the community. When I came here 30 years ago, I operated, like I said, the 2 major home centers here in the community, and was very prevalent with the building industry and the residential side and the commercial side. I've provided a great return to the community, and I know what the community needs in the way of a return. And I'm very proud now to operate the facility in Port Orchard, where we are probably the most solid business out there at this time, and we provide a daily return. And with that being said, I think that my knowledge and my ability to return is I have a proven track record. My track record is pretty solid, and
I tell you, I think the skill sets that probably will set me apart and what I'm looking forward to bringing to the table is, again, gets back to innovation. Clearly through my operational role and management of the businesses that I've been engaged with, there's a lot that brings to the table. But more than just management, of being the person that creates the vision, that drafts the business plan, that raises capital, that deals with the financing, that's in the trenches. As we go out to attract businesses to move here, that's the type of conversations that we'll be having at that level, not just operations and not just management. I think if you also look at some of my tenure of board leadership, I think there's more of a parallel between board leadership and a commissioner than there is perhaps just managing an entity. As Axel and I are sitting here, we're not running to be CEO, and we're not looking for a job as CFO or COO. There's a very, very unique job description as it relates to board members and commissioners of the Port of Bremerton, and it's bringing that leadership together that can help create effective planning to help motivate staff and make that entity successful is something that I'm really looking forward to bringing to the port.
Anyone else have a question?
You both are very successful in your businesses, and you're both committed in the community. How much time would you expect to spend being a port commissioner, and how do you carve that out of your day?
Well, I'm very fortunate that I've got 5 managers that work for me currently in a very successful operation over there that I'm able to take some time. And to answer the question directly, as a return to the community, you need to do what it takes to do the job. My commitment level is extremely high. My execution level is extremely high. As far as the commissioner of the port, the commissioner should not be micromanaging the port. I don't believe that any commissioner should do that. I believe the port employees are there to execute the plan. The commissioner and the commissioner board needs to give leadership and provide direction, and they need to hold expectations and accountability of those individuals.
Yeah, there's no question that through my tenure that I enjoy being busy. The old adage of ask a busy person to get something done, and it's going to get done. And I think if you look at the different functions that I've been juggling over the years, that's what motivates me. That's where I perform at my highest level, is being busy and being engaged. And I also agree that if you look at the defined role of a commissioner, it's there to create policy and leadership, and it's not to micromanage. We have to entrust the fact that the plans we've put together for fiscal accountability, that the staff understands that, they're being held accountability to that, and we're there at our regular scheduled meetings to help make sure that that's happening. From marketing to PR, we're about policy setters. and protecting the interests of the taxpayers, listening to those stakeholders, for us to engage and be available to them and ask the questions before there are major votes on bonds or taxation. We should carry that message back to our people. That's who we're there representing. And so to engage within our district and get the pulse of what our people are wanting, and then bring that, to the table with some of these votes on how we create plans and how we execute the plans. And so, will there be a lot of time spent at the Port of Bremerton? You're darn right there is. But that's what's exciting about it, because through those hard works and energies, when we do something right, we can make a difference and we can see those measurable successes into the future.
No, that's good. Well, we're at about the time we had promised anyway. So let me give you both just another 1 minute closing statement. If there's anything that we've missed, if there's anything that you'd like to follow up on. This time we'll let Sean go first, and Axel will let you have the last one.
Absolutely. Well, I'd just like to conclude by again thanking everyone for the opportunity, not even to present just to you, but for the forum that you make available to the constituents within the Port of Bremerton. It's nice to be able to have this forum where so many people are able to view it subsequently. I think that's important. We owe it to our people to get our message to them and speak to them and allow them, for them to hear the issues that we're passionate about. And so for that, I am grateful. I would ask that everyone out there looks at my local record and talks around, that just doesn't listen to maybe what I have to say, but with some of the other people that they may know that have done business with me, that what they have to say. And I think actions do speak louder than words. I can assure you that I will bring vision, and I will bring passion, and I will bring energy to the Port of Bremerton. I think that I'm a nice change to go in there and work with the existing, commissioners, Larry Stokes, Roger Zabinski, and senior staff, and to bring something new to that table. And I look forward to representing the stakeholders of our district over the next 6 years with the Port of Bremerton. So thank you.
Well, in close, I have no personal agenda. I have no pet projects. My motivation for this is to provide my business leadership to the port and a return to the community. I'd like to share my 30 years of business experience, develop growth and jobs while bringing fiscal responsibility back to the port. You can be sure that there will be no midnight tax on my watch. My vision is one where elected officials do not put additional tax burdens on our communities, but one that can improve in economic development, build jobs, grow the tax base, and provide a return to those same communities. And I appreciate the opportunity to meet with you all and share our visions.
Thank you. I appreciate you both.